Welcome to the Essential Space. Today we are joined by Jake Minot to discuss some of the pitfalls of common flooring found in high traffic facilities. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning.
So Jake, if you could start by discussing what it is we're talking about when it comes to high traffic facilities.
Yeah, so what we commonly see in what we do when we're out walking with customers, we're working with our distributors, and they're taking us into places to look at some floors. It's typically educational environments, so K through 12 or colleges. We look at a lot of healthcare facilities. You can imagine, especially this past year, the traffic coming through those healthcare facilities. Office buildings where you'll have multiple tenants that kind of share one main lobby and then they have their offices off to the side. Just the stuff that we run into in everyday life. A lot of grocery stores, big box retail stores. We're out in these types of facilities, on a weekly basis, evaluating floors and suggesting maintenance programs and products to help these people keep their facility looking better and help them save money.
Sure, and can you describe some of the flooring that you see in these high traffic facilities that, that you're either seeing some problems, or what is it that you see?
We definitely see a lot of VCT, a lot of concrete, and a lot of terrazzo. But we also see a lot of other types of floors that maybe aren't the best fit. We see some rubber type floors. There's LVT, which is luxury vinyl tile. And then you have all kinds of different types of linoleum. And, there's some positives and some negatives for these types of floors. And where they do really well at is low traffic areas. They do really good in residential settings. So some of your smaller office buildings where you maybe only have a dozen people a day coming through the door, those types of floors are going to hold up well in those types of environments.
What we're really talking about when we talk about high traffic is we're talking about foot traffic into office buildings and, like you said, the schools. So if you can tell us a little bit about some of the pitfalls and some of the things that you've seen that are happening in these high traffic areas, and if we can give an example of each one.
Yeah, sure. So actually, most recently, I was working with a contractor who cleans grocery stores, and there was a section in the grocery store where they had installed some luxury vinyl tile. And the problem was it was right outside of the deli and meat department area. So as their employees would walk out of that area, they had all that grease and gunk on their shoes and they would track it over this luxury vinyl tile. And the problem with this is most luxury vinyl tiles, they are somewhat textured and that grease was getting trapped in there. And they were running auto scrubbers on it on a daily basis and they weren't able to get it clean. The reason is a flat pad is going to skim the top and not be able to get down into those pits and valleys in that luxury vinyl tile. So they weren't able to pull that grease out and it just kind of built upon itself. And pretty quickly it became slip and fall hazard. So, they contacted us to come in and take a look at that. And that's pretty common with LVT.
That leads us into the rubber floors. So have you seen something out there recently or in your travels with some rubber floors, and where have you seen those?
The most recent place I saw it was in a school. You'll be able to picture what I'm talking about when I say rubber floors. It's like a rubber studded floor, and you see it a lot on staircases. Typically, it's almost like a gray color. It's so old, it's so dirty, and it's so dried out and started cracking. It distorts the color quite a bit. And we have a lot of people that reach out to us and say, hey, what can we do to refresh these floors and kind of get them looking good again? And again, it's a mix of having the right chemicals to clean it with, as well as having the right equipment. So kind of have to take all of that into consideration. Again, which is why we want to be involved in the beginning of this process so that we can help point out some of the pitfalls in these high traffic areas.
Just real quick, what would be a benefit to someone in those situations? What was the idea behind it?
So the idea behind the rubber, LVT, and linoleum is less maintenance. No floor finish. So you don't have the annual top scrubber strip and then subsequent recoat. You don't have to burnish them. So you're reducing your labor by not having to pay a guy to come in and burnish the floors. They're touted as you just have to clean them as often as possible on a daily basis or a couple times a week, and you're done. Problem with that, again, is most of these floors are textured in some way, even if it's to a point where you can't really see with your eye. And when dirt gets trapped in there, your floors start looking kind of dingy and they start turning a different color. And it's really difficult to get them clean, especially if you're not running the right equipment or the right chemicals for that application. And again, for facilities that have lighter foot traffic, those options are very feasible and they work really well. But in your higher foot traffic areas, those types of flooring, in my opinion, should be avoided because you're going to get yourself into a situation where you have to pay a lot of money just with the time involved to bring these floors back to life.
Let's just talk real quick about linoleum. So tell us a pitfall or tell us a situation that you've run into with linoleum and what does that look like?
The linoleum is in a school setting, and they called us in because their classrooms were getting really beat up. And what was happening is the kids were scooting the chairs in and out, scratching the flooring, and it was grinding dirt in and pencil lead in, and there were ink stains and all kinds of stuff. So they asked us, what can you do to clean these up and protect them from here on out? And quite honest, there's not much you can do at that point for as damage beyond repair. So they actually had to have the contractor come back out and redo that floor. And again, this isn't necessarily a knock on linoleum. It was just the wrong flooring for that application.
Right. And so when it comes to flooring types and when it comes to restoring, we get pulled in at the end of the conversation. And it would be much more helpful if we could be pulled in on the beginning part of the conversation. So tell us a little bit about what Essential can offer to help.
I mean, we have options for all of those softer type floors to not only try to bring them back to life, but to also protect them moving forward. When you're looking at, let's say, a rubber floor, we have a product called Citrus Scrub and Shine. And rubber floors have kind of natural oils in them. And when those dry out, that's when you start seeing the floor crack and peel and just kind of looks unsightly. So the benefit of Citrus Scrub and Shine is it doesn't contain any polymers, waxes, resins, anything like that. It has natural citrus oils and it has surfactant in it to help clean. So it cleans the floor. And then those natural citrus oils that are in the citrus actually penetrate into that rubber and kind of enrich it. It's going to moisturize that floor again and keep it from cracking even more, when it's used on a continual basis. And then once we've done that, we've cleaned the floor up and we've got it kind of back to as good as we could make it look. Then we've got a product called Sportflex that is specifically designed for rubber floors. We run into a lot of rubber gym floors in elementary schools. And so that's a product that you can put on, and it's a urethane coating over that floor that's going to protect it from getting damaged even further. And the beauty of this is if the coating gets scratched or the gloss starts to die down, you can burnish it and it'll respond and bring it back to like you just laid a fresh coat of finish on top of that. So, from that perspective, it protects it and can keep it protected from there on out.
Thank you for joining us in the Essential Space. This was a great discussion on some of the pitfalls of flooring used in high traffic facilities. If anyone has any more questions, please let us know on LinkedIn, or you can go to our website at www.essind.com. We look forward to seeing you again in the Essential Space. And next time, we're going to talk a little bit about what types of flooring we do recommend in high traffic facilities.